May never lay your head down without a hand to hold. May you never lay your bed up in the cold. Here's a really lovely song from John Martyn. It has a bit of a reputation as a difficult song to play, but in reality there's nothing but 3 chords. So we're going to have a look at those chords, we'll have a look at the picking, then we'll add some variations to those chords that are really going to help bring the song to life, and then finally we'll add some of those twiddly fiddly bits, and I'll put the tab on the screen so you can see pretty much what John Martyn does on the original. Now, in fact, there are lots of versions of this song. He recorded it several times and there are lots of live performances. But the one thing they all have in common is that the open 6th string is tuned an octave below the open 4th string. So that's a D tuned down a tone from the standard E, and that gives us what we call drop D tuning. And the reason for that is that when we play a D chord, which we're going to do lots of, we get 6 strings and a lovely resonant acoustic sound. So in fact the chords are D, and then we've got a G chord, but I'm not going to play the bottom string, so it's G over B, and rather than putting a finger on the 3rd fret of the top string, it's going to be on the 2nd string at the 3rd fret instead, and I'm going to limit my picking to the middle 4 strings. Then we've got an A chord, and you could play it like this, but because we're going to be doing some other stuff with that A chord, you're better off just barring across the 2nd fret, and that's going to go across the top 4 strings like this. And again, we're limiting the picking to the middle 4 strings of the guitar. Okay? So what I'd like to do now is just show you some basic picking ideas, and then we'll have a run through of the song. I'm going to keep my picking fingers on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings, and my thumb is going to be wherever the bottom note of the chord is at that moment. So for D that's going to be the 6th string, for G it's the 5th string, and for A it's also the 5th string. So it's going to be like this for D, like this for G, and like this for A. The important thing is to get the hand coming back down onto the strings on the 2nd and 4th beats, just to create a kind of a backbeat. And then as for how you play the rhythm exactly, well, that's entirely up to you. I'm not sure I'm doing exactly what John Martyn does, but this works really well for me. It fits nicely under my fingers. I've got something like this. I'm playing the whole of the chord on the 1st beat, then I'm bringing the hand back down on the 2nd beat, that kind of thing. But then on 2 and, I'm playing another bass note on its own, and on the 3rd beat, I'm playing just the chord. And then I'm following that up half a beat later, so on 3 and, with another chord. And then bringing my hand down again for 4. And from time to time I'll be anticipating the chord, that is bringing it in half a beat before the beginning of the bar, like this. That kind of a thing. Alright, let's look through the way the song works. And again, as I say, there are just 3 chords. We begin with D for a bar, G for a bar, A for a bar, and back to D. May you never lay your head down is A, without a hand to hold. Then it's G, A, and 2 bars of D. May you never make your bed out in the cold. In the middle section, we have 2 bars of A, 2 bars of D, 2 bars of A, 2 bars of D. You're just like a great and strong brother of mine. You know that I love you true. You never talk dirty behind my back, and I know that there's those that do. In In the next section, we've got 2 more bars of A and then 2 of G. So please, won't you bear it in mind? Love is a lesson to learn in that time. Then 2 of A and 2 of D to finish off. So please, won't you bear it in mind for me. So let's have a run through of the basic structure with these simple chords. May you never lay your head down without a hand to hold. May you never make your bed up in the cold. I should add, by the way, that I'm not bothering playing the note on the top string of the D chord. You're just like a great strong brother of mine. You know that I love you true. You're never talking dirty behind my back, and I know that there's those that do. Oh please, won't you bear it in my mind? Love is a lesson to learn in our time. Now please, won't you bear it in mind? Oh, for me. Okay, so now it's time to look at some variations on these chords and some additional bits that are going to help us really make it sound a bit more authentic. And first of all, we've got a couple of little shapes on the 2nd and 4th strings right up here. I've got my first finger on what is actually the 12th fret of the guitar, but if you count from the capo, it's the 10th fret, 2nd string, and then 11th fret with my 2nd finger of the 4th string. And I'm going to play the middle 4 strings of the guitar, and then I'm simply going to shift that down 2 frets. May you never lay your head down. And that kicks us off. In fact, that happens every time we come back into the verse. Please, won't you bear it in mind? Love is a lesson to learn in that time. Please, won't you bear it in mind for me? And then back in. Okay, now the next thing is that on the G chord, the first couple of times it appears, there's an additional finger comes in on the 2nd fret. I'm using my 3rd finger, 2nd fret of the 3rd string, but just for the first couple of beats. And then it's off. It's subtle, but you can hear it. So, may you never lay your head down. There it is. Without a hand to hold, and may you, and again, never make your bed up in the cold. So it's just that. Okay, ignore that if you want to, but it makes a difference. And what really does make a difference is what we do on the A chord. Sometimes we have this on an A chord where there's just a bar of A, and then later when there's 2 bars of A, we have the same thing. We start with our standard A. We're going to add 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string to our middle 4 strings. So we have A, this is basically D over A. We're keeping the bar going though. And then I'm going to move that 3rd finger up to the 5th fret of my 4th string and add the little finger on the 2nd string at the 5th fret. So for instance, at the beginning of the middle section, you're just like a great strong brother of mine. You know that I love you true. You're never talking dirty behind my back, and I know. So get used to playing that because that happens a lot. Also happens in the opening section where it's crammed into a single bar like this. May you never lay your head down without a hand to hold. May you never make your bed out in the cold. Okay, couple more details to come. In the section, oh please, won't you bear it in mind. In fact, John Martyn only picks the 5th, 4th and 3rd strings to create basically an A5. It gives it a bit more drive. So please, won't you bear it in our mind. And then when we get to the G chord, love is a lesson, there's in fact an extra note on the 4th fret of the 4th string. So I'm going to refinger that chord. And that's a G major 7 over B. So that section is now, please, won't you bear it in mind. Love is a lesson to learn it. And that part there is where you're going to stop doing all this. So please, won't you bear it in mind. Love is a lesson. And you might just pick those strings one at a time in a kind of random fashion. Please, won't you bear it in mind. Love is a lesson to learn in our time. Please, won't you bear it in mind for me. And we're into the next verse. Okay, that's pretty much it. And finally, let's look at some of the twiddly fiddly bits that are going to be a bit more of a challenge. I'll put some tab up on the screen and that should help. So first off, we have this kind of thing on a D chord. You can hear that really clearly in the instrumental section at the end of the song, for instance. We're playing the whole chord on the first beat, and I've got my first finger on the 3rd string. I mentioned before I'm not bothering playing the top string of this chord because we don't pick it. My first finger is on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and it's going to pull off, and then it's going to go to the 2nd fret of the 5th string. So far. Then we pick the 2nd and 3rd strings, open 5th string, back to the 2nd fret with that first finger, and then we start again. Okay. In fact, as you'll hear at the end of the song, the 2nd time he anticipates it. One more time. Okay, there's a lot of that, and a bit like it's worth getting under your fingers. That's going to make a big difference. Now, there's another twiddly bit on the D chord earlier on in the verse, and it goes like this. Never lay your head down without a hand to hold. You never lay your bed down in the cold. So here you are going to play the top string on the D chord. You're going to play the chord, then the open top string. You're going to bring a finger, my first finger's here, onto the 2nd fret and pull it off again, followed by the open 4th string. And all that is followed by 4 notes. 3rd fret on the 2nd string, 2nd fret on the 3rd string, which I'm going to pull off, and then I'm going to go down to the 4th fret of the 4th string. So slowly, and I'll try and carry on, we get this. Never lay your head down without a hand to hold. You never lay your head out in the cold. So those two twiddly bits together. May you never lay your head down without a hand to hold. You never lay your bed out in the cold. You just been like a good strong, and so on and so on. Now we have this again at the end. Twice. We finish with. Now it's simple enough, it's actually the same thing pretty much repeated on 3 different pairs of strings. Open 4th string, and then we finish. And that really is it.